So how long does it take to get divorced in Rhode Island? If you were to file your divorce complaint today and you had agreement on all of the major issues with your spouse, you'd have a hearing date in about 75 days. Once that hearing happens, about 90 days after that, the divorce would be final. So in most cases, we're seeing hearings happen 75 to 90 days after filing, but the bigger issue in how long a divorce takes is really how contested the matter is. Here's how it normally works. Someone will come into my office and they'll have the need to file divorce, and they may have an agreement with their spouse on 2 or 3 of the issues in the case. And we may spend some time, it might be a week, it might be a month, depending on the back and forth with the parties, coming to an agreement on most of the major issues before we file. So we'd have to tack that time onto it. But in general, if you were to come to my office today for a divorce, it would probably be about 3 months from now, 3 to 4 months from now, before we'd be in front of a judge. Now, if you came to my office today and said, gee, I don't have any agreement on any of the issues, but you're willing to sit down with your spouse and mediate those issues, we might be able to resolve those issues in 4 to 5 mediation sessions. Those mediation sessions could be done in the course of a week or two, depending on the scheduling of the parties. We're fairly flexible in our office. We'll do mediations at night, we'll do them on the weekends. But in essence, a typical mediation takes 4 to 5 sessions, each session lasting about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So if that can be done in 3 weeks, at the end of that 3-week period, you'd have an agreement that you would take to independent counsel. They would review it, they would approve it, and then you could file your case. And the same type of procedure works in Massachusetts or Connecticut or many of the other states we practice in. So basically, I would think within a month and a half of you first meeting with our office, we'd be able to file a complaint for divorce in any of the courts. And you'd be filing it with a framework for an agreement. Now that framework for an agreement, the items on there could be acted on immediately. If part of the agreement is to sell the house and distribute the proceeds, that can be done before you file. That could be done as you're filing. Okay? If there's agreement on the other side. The same thing with your custody and visitation. If there's a visitation agreement that's worked out, that can begin immediately. If there's child support issues, those payments can begin immediately. Ultimately, the court would bless the visitation and the child support payments. But in essence, as long as you have an agreement, you can start to institute those various items on that agreement almost immediately. Now, if your spouse has counsel and the counsel won't approve the agreement, well, it might be difficult to start implementing those things immediately. But ultimately, through mediation or through the first part of a divorce case, we're usually coming to an agreement, first and foremost on the children, secondly on who's staying in the marital home, and then third is the division of the assets. In most of my cases, at the time that a judge finally grants a judgment, we usually have the house set up. It's either sold or it's listed with a realtor, or the party that's staying in the house is in the process of a refinance. The same works with child custody and support. By the time we have a hearing with the judge, the kids are already used to a certain schedule. And usually the party that's paying the support has already begun paying those maybe for 2 or 3 months. So in essence, how long a divorce takes in Rhode Island or Massachusetts or any of the other states that we practice is really dependent upon how contested the case is. In most cases in Rhode Island and Massachusetts, we're seeing from the time they're in our office until the time there's a judgment is probably about 6 months. So if you're in a position now where you're needing to file divorce, the first thing to do is pick up the phone and give us a call. Sit down with us. We can go through the options, we can go through the process, and we can chart out a timeline for your divorce to figure out if we're going to stay in the house, what do we need to do? Do we need to start calling realtors and mortgage professionals to help us with a sale or a purchase or a refinance. So again, if you are in that divorce situation and you need somebody to talk to, feel free to give us a call. Again, we can meet with you nights, weekends, whenever it's convenient for you.